Ah, classic. Classic Victor. Classic Victor didn't check if I have a mute. Hello and welcome once again. My name is Viktor Gamov and I am a developer advocate with Kong. Sometimes I forgot to unpress mute, so I apologize for this one. And now everyone should be hearing my voice. Okay. Yeah, it happens. It happens, but this happens when you produce a show yourself. I'm coming at you live from my home studio here in beautiful New Jersey. We have a very sunny weather today, and in this point, I would be very interested in learning where are you coming from. Let me know in the comments section if you are in. I see all the comments that come in into our platforms from YouTube, from LinkedIn, and let us know where you're coming from. And okay. So I see right now roughly what's the number of attendees right now? Yeah, so we're live. We're live, and it's good to think. We do have Brandon from Mountain View, California. From let me see, add to broadcast. Let's check if it works. Cool. MIBA at work from Germany. I see some people still tapping something. Anyway, you can continue. Just let me know. Some Bhushan from India. Welcome, welcome. It's great to have every one of you here. Live streams. For those of you who join us for the first time, this is the show where, personally, I like to use as a interactive conversation that I might have with someone. This conversation meaning that not only me talking, so you can ask some questions. I will bring you in and I'll try to answer those questions, but also We will learn some of the technologies. We will learn some of the cool stuff during this presentation. Today, I would like to talk about some of the technology that I'm really fascinated, and we'll talk about containers, Docker containers, and all sorts of containers. It happens to be a Docker container, but in general, it can be not only Docker. And today, I'm going to talk to you about this project called test containers. So test containers, it's a project that allows you to run real software in containers as a part of your integration testing. But before that, I would like to talk to you a little bit about the history and how I end up using this and why I think it's important for you to also use this. So this technology about containers emerged a couple of years ago and literally changed everything. We've kind of package once and run everywhere paradigm, so you can easily distribute your software using the containers. And many of you know. If you don't, let me quickly remind you that if you go to a YouTube channel, Kong Inc., you can find the live streams videos, but there's also different tutorials. And one of the tutorials that I did, and I showed you how you can run Kong in Docker. If you missed that, go check this out. It's a pretty cool one. And I use this personally a lot myself. So I use Docker Compose with predefined configuration, and I use configuration when I need to in order to configure Kong to test something. And I had a conversation with one of the customers earlier last week when they were asking about, it's pretty legitimate question, as a matter of fact. They were asking how they would approach a situation where they're migrating from monolithical Java EE container, application was deployed in the Java EE container, in a new paradigm, in this kind of decentralized and distributed world, and how they would approach that. And one of the things that I suggested them to use is to obviously write a test. And when you're writing tests, use test containers. They were Java shop. They were writing the software using Java. And I realized that there's no example how you can use this with Kong. And I realized that, okay, so that's a great opportunity for me to do research and also show you something. So I decided to use this as a kind of like a watch and learn type of session where I will be, it's somehow prepared, somehow it's not. Sometimes it would be part of improvisation. That's the cool part of a live stream. And I really want you to ask questions. Let's do this one. How many of you heard about test containers before? Right, let's do this one. Just write in the comments if you're on LinkedIn and if you are in a YouTube. Just let me know if you heard about test containers before. I'm switching to my screen. Now, the thing that I showed during this, the thing that I showed you during this video, you can go and check this out. But a quick reminder that what I did, I showed a Docker Compose setup, and how I can configure Kong, and how I configure my service if I want to work with this. And there's example how I can use declarative configuration, how I can enable service, and I use a Kong to do this. So here's a couple downsides of this. First of all, I need to, every time when I need to change this, I need to go and modify Docker Compose or my configuration file. I need to have a configuration file for different setups and things like that. And it's totally fine. But like if I want to drive some of the scenarios, like more complex scenarios, like enabling more services, or maybe running something that is part of my code together with those containers. For example, like if I want to run some of the containers together with my application, I need to start Docker Compose first, and after that, I need to make sure that ports that this Docker Compose instance will be exposing, those ports are not allocated by anyone else, so I will be able to do stuff. So that's pretty cool. Why this is happening here? I do have. Let me quickly, for some reasons my hot corners in my system are switching to look in my screen. So I will disable this real quick. Boom. Okay. Back to my screen. So you need to make sure that you're not running anything else on those ports. For example, Conk exposes ports for this is a proxy port, this is your admin API port, and you need to make sure that those ports are not allocated by anyone else. And there's other issues and problems that test containers are solving. And but essentially, it is something that's you using as part of your Java code. So we will try to. So first of all, I will introduce you to Conk container that I developed yesterday night before the show, and I would like to use something that is more scriptable than Java. Sometimes people say, "Oh, Java is too verbose, and we cannot rely on Java and things like that." I will try to use something like more scriptable that allows you to execute some scripts as a part of your pipeline. And with this, I will show how we can use this with Groovy and write some Groovy script. So let me see what the people are saying here. So we see the Alex +1. I mean, probably he meant that he used the test containers. So Joshua says, heard about them, but never used them. We're gonna try to fix this right now. And Hushan used this with Elasticsearch. That's great. And Miba at work. Just look at it briefly. Okay. I would like to spend like a couple episodes talking about this because there's definitely opportunity to do some cool things. All right. So we'll start with one simple thing. So many of you know Docker Hub. If you go to Docker Hub and you will search for Conk, you'll get the official image of Conk, and there's a bunch of different images available. So the 2.6 is available right now, so you can use it, and we're gonna be using this one. So the next thing that last night I spent a few hours to develop this small wrapper that will be using Conk container in my tests. And again, right now it's just like a Java part, but I will try to look into different other languages that are available. Also, let me know how many of you Java developers here. Like, if you watch this as a recording, write down this in the comments. I need to know this because I know Java fairly well. I'm a Java champion, so knew a few things about this, but I really want to talk about this stuff for developers who don't use Java, maybe Go developers or JavaScript developers, because there's always, if we go to test containers, say in their GitHub organization, and we can see there's a Go version, there's a Node version, so there's an opportunity for me to show you different bits and pieces of this and how it can be used with Conk. But let's start with something simple. I wrote this a small container called conc container. And this conc container, this essentially need to put the to do because I definitely wanted to make it configurable. And that's why it has a squiggly. So I created the conc container that extends from generic containers. So there's nothing really special about the conc container itself, apart from the configurations that are more or less opinionated. And the way how it works, I created my conc container extending from the generic container, and after that, in the constructor of this container, I need to pass a Docker image name, conc semicolon 2.6 or something like that, and because I also have some configuration. So in this particular case, I'm using a DB-less mode. So in this case, no databases, nothing. It will start here. But the next thing that I will also show you, maybe next time, not today, is how to use this with databases. Because test containers actually has, if I go to this module, and I found the module, and it has Postgres. So it has a Postgres container that can be used. For example, let's see the test. And the image, containers, and how I can create this, how I can use this Postgres container together with my conc container for test. Now, some of the configurations that you notice, they're very similar to from the environment, and the test containers has very nice API that allows me to configure this. So this is how I'm providing these environment variables here, and those environment variables go into the configuration. I'm exposing this admin port, and also I need to specify this admin port. The thing that I said about ports in the very beginning is actually very important because, like, when I run this in a Docker Compose, I need to make sure that the port that I'm specifying here in the ports that needs to be exposed, one will be a container port, another one the port that will be mapped to local port, and you need to make sure that those ports are not allocated. With this DSL, with this API. The test containers make sure that the port that it will be locally allocated will not be occupied by any other process. So in order to get this local port, there would be API called get mapped port. So in this particular case, I have a helper function that actually will getting the host and gets the mapped port, so I will be able to connect to this conc instance inside my test. And let's take a look how the test looks like. So very simple test. Let's run it. And another thing that I also wanted to add here is say conc container with log. Consumer, new SLF, consumer, and this guy. So I will run only this test just to make sure that my container started. And we will see the output of this test container. So the smoke test designed only for the purpose of the running and make sure that the setup is ready. I have a Docker Compose Docker installed and it connects to this one. So let's take a look to output of this. So when it starts, it says that it found that Docker locally. There's also opportunity to run test containers in cloud in case of I don't know, some of the exotic architectures M1, like Apple M1 machines. So I'm looking forward to test it out with cloud and the A1 machine. So it connects to my Docker desktop. And next thing is that it will try to create a container for this image. So this image that I specified here is a conc image that I will be using. And now container is starting. The cool thing is that I use this log consumer. That's API that allows me to speed out the output of this container. Since I configured this container to speed out the results into standard output, I will be able to read the logs that this container will providing. So I now see that Conc 2.6 is starting. It runs inside the Linux. It started. So far, so good. Everything is fine. And it also loaded a configuration from the YAML file. This YAML file is in my class path, so nothing super special, just a very minimal declarative configuration that allows me to see what is going on there. So it started, it works, and it takes it, say, 12:49. So from the beginning of the test, it started almost 2 minutes. But when they continue checking the system, Docker environment, so container started, and it speeds up some of the results. And when we're done, like a few seconds after. So far so good. Next thing is that let's do something interesting. How I can test this it actually works as it intended. So the next thing is that next test that I have is to check if my actually I already have this here. It was commented out. So the next thing is that the Conc admin API provides some of the information about the instance. So what I would like to do is to make sure that not only it started successfully, but also configuration was picked up correctly. So what I wanted to do here, I also enable some of the output. The next thing is that I would like to interrogate the responses. So I'm using this library that allows me to write also like a DSL-like stuff in my code. It's called rest assured. It has a very nice Java and Groovy API. So we're gonna like hold that thought. Like we're gonna be using some of the Groovy later today. So that's it. And I can go and interrogate headers. So it allows me, first of all, it allows me to do REST calls, and in a sense that it's going to be kind of looking as a nice fluent API. So I do the call to admin API, and my admin URL would be mapped port, admin port, 8001. And after that, I want to make sure that my server responds with Conc 2.6. And next thing, that my configuration doesn't have any database enabled, because I started this in the configuration database off. Remember, in my container. So if I go here, and I set Conc database off. And in order to show this to you, I would like to before I do that, let me show you how this look like from perspective of if I would run this with something like Docker Compose. So I will just do conc docker. And I'm going into do I have a check conc and dbless. Let me run this. So this is where I'm running this with Docker Compose. And if I do something like, now it runs 2.5. I need to update this. Now, if I do something like the HTTP port 81, it will dump why it says services, it will dump me a configuration. And if I will do something like JQ, so when I go and traverse this JSON, or I can do something like Lua version. So I can do similar stuff using the shell scripts, right? And I can do like a bash scripting to test this out. But if I want to use the power of some libraries that are available in languages like Java or Groovy or any JVM language, I won't be able to do this with the shell scripts. But stick around. Now, I want to do the same thing, so I will just do. Now, remember, so now my, let me show you why this is cool. So now my application, my Quant container runs inside using Docker Compose. And to see what is going on there, I would run the ctop. So right now it runs inside the Quant container. If I run this, in general, if you would do something like running another container, it will clash with container name, it will clash with host name. But we see there's some test container helper will start, and this awesome MC nullity, this is something where my application will start. And as you can see, my test already executed. I get the successful test results, meaning that there was no problems with ports, and test containers clean up that container. So there were no port clashes, there was no problem. So that's super cool. Now, as you can see here, my container started, and now I tested with this. And if I will do something like on, let's break this test. Let's see if this will change anything. So it's starting. Output, and now we get a sort error. That's pretty cool. And the test failed because result was not what we expected, which is fine. Off is what we expected. We run this. And again, it will not interfere with any other containers that's running with you, because test containers will be will execute containers with some like special name, and it will also provide a random port that your test will be able to access this. And in this case, your test will pass. So we have some fans of Quant here. Thank you so much, Said. Thanks so much for some love. That's no, like, where is it? Yeah, this is a. I will use this for my Christmas card. Okay. How are we doing so far? Are you still with me? You still following? Let me close this one. My setup. Come on, kill. Oop! I killed the terminal. Let's restart this quickly. Edit session. Just do live streams. live stream. Okay. All right. Okay. I'll just do. Now, and last but not least, what about services? Imagine you have this. So imagine you have this declarative configuration that you want to test. You want to test connectivity to some service. I would, I could use HTTP bin as example, but as too many people use this as example, so I like to use my own services. Now, imagine that you want to test a situation where you need to test your connectivity to your microservice, and since you're using, I assume you're using the Quonk gateway as your gateway API management solution, that's configuration you want to say. So you want to expose to outside world call to this service. So this, how you would generally test this? You would have a Quonk configuration, you deploy your service, and deploy this configuration, and try to hit this URL and make sure that it responds with correct answer. So correct response. So this is what we will do with this test. Let's also see some output here. Now. Test containers allows me also create networks. So I will run this test in isolation. I will start my container with some dedicated network, and also I will run another container. Just too many things going on, so I will remove that. I don't need this immediately. I want to run another container. So in this case, I don't really care. It's a generic image that will run a generic web service. And this web service will expose on the port 8080, and it will throw some Back to Future quotes. If I want to change this in my config, I need to provide a quote service name and maybe to switch to Chuck Norris. And the response would be about Chuck Norris. We can also test it out. And since Quonk will try to access this service inside, let me try to show you how this would look like from perspective of communication. How much time? Oh, we have plenty of time. So there's a lot of things we can cover. All right. So let's see if it works. Okay. I need to switch to. No, that should work, right? It should work. I will go with this. Okay, it works. This is where I want to try some new gadgets here. So the way how the people show this in the internet, like they're drawing on the screen, they're drawing on the screen, but like we can use some other technologies. But essentially what I was trying to tell you is that we do have, let me slide a bit over here. So I will use this space to draw. I will have our network that will be created by Docker. And inside this network, we will have a Quonk as our container, and we will have my quote service. So here, everything would be run in isolation. So you will not be able to get access to this network. unless you expose certain ports. And for here, I would like to expose port 80. That's proxy port that Conk exposes. And now my service is configured to Conk has a configuration about the service that will be communicating this quote service on the port 80. So inside, you will not be able to get access here, so you need to hit the URL here as a user. Oh, I drew on myself. That what happens. That what happens when you're doing this unprepared. And this scenario we want to test in the code. And what we can test, since it's a random quote, I can rely on the output of the service. But since we want to test that our communication between our service and Conk works, I just want to see if my output is not empty. And I do have a Conk header that was placed on top of the response. So this is what we're gonna try. All right. Also, if you've seen this in the comments, you see this in the recording, and let me know if you like this setup, and I should do more of this like whiteboarding stuff or whatnot. Okay. Okay, I see that Amoeba at Work uses Conk for about 2 years. That's great. It's great to hear. That's awesome. Now, switching back to my screen. So that's the setup I just described. The setup that you just saw in this one. So this type of setup, yeah, different screen. This setup I will try to execute here is part of our test. Now, so with this one, I do have a generic container. They are in the same network, so they sitting together in one network, so they will be able to get access. And in order to find out this container, I need to provide the way how this container will be discovered. So in the Docker, we can do this through the network aliases, and Docker network will be information about this host will be published inside the Docker. So the container, Conk container, will be able to find my quotes container. This is how I start two containers together, and they can start in parallel, and after that join this network. And as a result, what I can try, I can get the answer from a Conk proxy port. So I don't need to do this one here. I did this for a test just to see the response. Let me show you. Let me show you response that those two services are operating. And after that, I will disable the exposure, so you will not be able to hit this. So will I run this? So output from the application, and I didn't put a pick here. So I will just do. So first one, it will be called to quote service. Another one would be called to quote service through Conk. And now what we can see here, that's the output from the service. Nothing special, no headers, nothing, just a response. And the second one is a response from the service, but proxied through Kong. So now we see that some extra headers. We know that Kong also matters how long it takes to get the access to upstream service. So it's at 2 milliseconds. And we also know that it happens via Kong. And since my service actually throws some random quotes, they're not the same. So it's going to be something different. Now, and using this library, I can check all sorts of parameters. I can check I just happen to check headers. So that's the test containers in the nutshell. So I will fix this later. And you can also like override things during the build. For example, not during the build, during the test. So here I'm starting this with which is not right because this is write command. But in some tests, tests like, let's do a smoke test. I will just do Quon container with command. And in this case, I can override this start command with some additional, let's do this one, something like, because it's a builder, we can do things like this. We can do this. Why it's not going down? Yeah, something like this, and we'll go in this. Yeah, so something like this. And when I start this test, it will override the startup command. It's good for debugging. For example, Kong exposes some of the verbose output when we run this with the special type command. All right. Now, next thing that I was talking about. Okay, so it's nice. Everything is great, but you need to bring whole family in law if you want to run this test. You need to bring the build scripts. You need to bring the you need to build the build scripts, you need to bring Java, you need to bring some other things. So how we can solve this? Again, bash, bash is an option, makefiles is an option, but if I want to use these libraries, I want to do something JVM-ish. So for that, I would like to use Groovy, which is Apache Groovy. It's a very cool language if you never used this before. It has a lot of cool capabilities. You can use Groovy as a better Java, basically removing the semicolons and release some of the like brackets and stuff. But we're interested in scripting. So I want to do something like, let's do called builders, and we're gonna do this today. And I will do something like idea dot. And we can do something like small, like a file. Let's call it test Groovy. And we can configure SDK, but it's not necessary to do this right now. Print ln hello world. And what I can do, Groovy, test Groovy, hello world. Easy, right? So that's what we want to have from our test. We want to do this like a Groovy, test Groovy, and everything would work. Now, you might not have Groovy installed. It's actually very easy to do. You can do something like SDK install Groovy. And it will go and says, okay, so I will install this, and I say which Groovy, and it says bin Groovy. So that's why I can go and tell my IntelliJ to use a library that will be used based on my installation. In this particular case, 3.0, okay. And I will be using Groovy. Now, my dear friend and one of the core members of Test Containers Framework, Sergey Egorov, back in the day wrote 2017, he wrote, I was just like researching like what cool things we can do here. He wrote this blog post on 2017, long time ago. So, and also he used Nginx here. So I thought that's a great opportunity to use Conk here instead of Nginx, because Nginx might be working great for the static sites, but like we're talking about microservices and stuff. Now, there's a kind of like 4 years ago project, 5 years ago project. So let's see if we will be able to fly with this. We will steal some ideas from here, and specifically, we will steal ideas like this. Specifically, that's what we would like to steal from him. In order to do so, there's some of the cool things that are available in Groovy, specifically the magical annotations that allows us to include directives for Groovy and download all required dependencies into application. So this script will be executable, fully executable. A couple things here. So first thing is a grab resolver. So this is where we specify where it needs to take these jar libraries. So why Jetpack? So Jetpack is it's a pretty cool project that allows to use any library that placed in the GitHub, and it will build it and it will show you already ready to use jar. So the thing that I wrote with test container conk, I will be using in my Jetpack situation. So I will go ahead, put it here, just to look it up. The latest and greatest snapshot, how we can get this. This is what we need to get. So, like let's comment this out first. Next thing with the with this thing, so what we need to grab my conk test container framework. So I will grab these. So we're gonna take these text containers, and this is gonna be our version. The next thing we're gonna grab. We're gonna grab this guy. And we're gonna do this one as well. So we're gonna steal the this base script. So we're not gonna do this one. We're gonna grab his whatever it is. It's a kind of extension on top of the Groovy that allows to run genuine scripts as part of the. Actually, let's take a look. Up. Sit up, and we will go here. We'll just see a repository. Okay, we will do this Groovy. test test containers. And where's the Groovy? Where's the Groovy? What was the name? Test containers Groovy script. It's gone for some reasons. Okay. Maybe he removed this for this live stream. Okay, so let's see. Give me a second. I'll check some of the comments. All right. Okay. So some questions. Good live stream, but we have changed everything from Java to Go, JS, Rust. So unfortunately, the topic is not interesting for me. So stick around anyways. Probably we'll have some ideas how we can use this in Go as well. And I actually want to see. I actually want to see how the people writing tests in Go. So and what kind of strategies they do for the things that are Go, JS, and Rust. So write down in the comments and like show me some of the things how you're doing this. Yeah, so I will continue with my thingy. Hopefully it will work again. Because it was in test containers, not this Sergey's repository. Okay, so I was looking to the different test containers. Test containers, repositories. And the test containers 173. 173. So in this case, it will be using some of the old version. And let's see if my script will be still working. So what it will do, it should download all these dependencies. And specifically, it says my dependency is not found. Let's see if something changed in here. So we will refresh. Let's see if we get the lookup. I can use hash instead of this, so it will build this. Now it should trigger build. See, now it builds inside Jetpack, and I should be able to get this jar file immediately. So it's pretty nice. It takes some time. Okay, so build failed. Why is that? Let's take a look. Install task not found. Okay, so in this case, I need to go and check my the library. So as you can see, we're testing this in the live, and I will use Maven as our is another plugin. So enable Gradle, enable Maven plugin. Maven Publish. It's called Maven Publish. It's not the Maven. It's called Maven Publish. So in order to use this, in order to generate the correct metadata, so it will be published into a repository, and I should be able to do stuff like okay, tasks, build, other model build setup. Where is it? Public publishing, publish the Maven local, style build setup, documentation, help. Where's the install task? Verification. Oh, let's test. Let's check how we can get there. Test containers. Test containers. Quang. Let's see. Install Lombok. No, it uses different one. So let's take a look how others are doing this. Why it is failing? Boom boom boom. Install and found. Please add Maven or Android Maven plugin. Okay. Let's do not the Maven publish, but rather Maven plugin. Okay, no? Let's take a look. Gradle, Maven plugin. Something is wrong. Maven plugin. Let's see. Apply plugin Maven, but it's maybe old version or something like that. Yeah, I think Maven publish would be right. Maven publish, and it should be something like install local. Yeah, publish to Maven local. This is what we need to have. Okay, so let's see. Let's see if this will work with this one. That's the beauty of, we'll just fix the build script. And push. Let's see, we're getting back here. We will use the different version now. Just to make sure that it will update thing. Here, we're gonna test it out. Have a few more minutes to finish the stuff. Build started. Let's see if it'd be able to build this, at least with this version. Uh-oh, something failed. Oh no, actually, it should be no build artifacts found. So I need to figure out this how this publishing works. Maybe I'm missing something. As usually, it's always I'm missing something, but at least I do have something to show you to next time. So today, I wanted to show you how you can use Kong in your integration tests. I did show you this to you. I didn't show the full scripting stuff, but we'll spend some time to figure this out. Check this out in my Kong Docker configuration, how you can run Kong in Docker. I do have a dedicated video on this. If you are on our YouTube channel, don't forget to subscribe and enable notifications. And I will continue to work on improving this kind of like a scripting side of things of testing Kong. And the reason why I like to do this, I just wanted to test different scenarios with different problems that people might have around the community. So yeah, it is a good cliffhanger. Unfortunately, we don't have more time for Matt Damon for today. If you understand what I'm talking about, write down in the comments if you understand this reference. But hey, we'll get back to you with this. The quick reminder. My name is Viktor Gamov. I am your host in the Kong Builders. You can always find me on Twitter if you have any questions, suggestions for future episodes. I will not see you this year anymore, so happy holidays, whatever you're celebrating. And I will see you next year. But I will be here and there on Twitter, so ask around. And my name is Viktor Gamov, and with this, as always, have a nice day.